Hi there, and welcome to our Eversheds Sutherland video. Before we start talking about some legal issues that we think are key for the solar industry to be aware of, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Jenny Burke, and I'm a senior associate on the projects and construction team here in Eversheds Sutherland. I specialize in energy regulation and have been involved in a number of solar financing transactions. I've advised on Res 1 and 2 in the context of solar, and most recently on solar Res PPAs. I'll pass over to my colleague Phelim to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I hope you're well. My name is Phelim McGeady and I'm the associate in the energy team in Eversheds Sutherland. And I specialise in advising on renewable energy projects, and in particular, advising on and negotiating energy contracts and construction contracts. And I also have experience in advising clients on solar projects in the energy market.
Phelim and I want to use this video to tell you a bit about some of the key legal areas of interest that are likely to impact the solar industry in the months and years ahead. And while there are many topics we could discuss, we've decided to use our limited time on this video to cover two issues: corporate PPAs and Fit for 55. The reason we've chosen to talk about these issues is their game-changing relevance for the energy industry generally and the solar industry in particular. So by the end of this short 10-minute video, we hope you'll have a better insight into how corporate PPAs can be utilised to expand and develop the solar industry, and how Fit for 55 is likely to influence activity across the energy and solar sectors. Phelim?
But before we get into that, just to tell you a bit about us, Eversheds Sutherland provides clients with a full service offering across a range of skill bases, including energy, property, planning, environmental, and tax. We're the only international law firm in Ireland that offers cross-jurisdictional services, as we have 74 offices in 35 jurisdictions around the world, including offices in Dublin, Belfast, across Great Britain, and throughout the EU. And Jenny, I'll hand it back to you to discuss corporate PPAs.
Thanks, Phelim. I'm going to speak on corporate PPAs, which are relatively new and can often seem a bit daunting. So first things first, what is a corporate PPA? At its most basic, it's not very different from a standard PPA, with which most of you in the industry will be familiar. Under a normal PPA, a generator of electricity, such as the owner of a solar park, will enter into an agreement with the supplier to purchase electricity from their solar park. The supplier will then trade this electricity in the single electricity market and pay the generator a negotiated fixed price under the PPA. A corporate PPA is different in that businesses purchase electricity directly from generators. Typically, larger businesses, such as those in tech or big pharma or large industrial companies who use a lot of energy, are those who have been to the forefront in engaging with energy companies on corporate PPAs. Not only do they have the financial resources to put into agreeing these relatively new contractual arrangements, but corporate PPAs are viewed as a way to ensure green credentials and to give more flexibility in negotiating longer-term fixed prices. So what are the advantages for the solar industry of using corporate PPAs? Corporate PPAs are considered a distinct and viable route to market. Where a solar park has not applied for or been successful in a RES auction, there are limited supports available. Locking in with a large corporate who commits to buying the entire electricity output can actually ensure a solar park gets financed in the first place. There might even be scope for a number of smaller solar parks to band together to attract large corporates. And as corporate PPAs are used more and more, we expect to see smaller businesses take on the lessons learned and adapt corporate PPAs for their own purposes. So there is scope across large and small solar parks to use corporate PPAs. So why are we talking about corporate PPAs at all? After all, the next RES auction is just around the corner and all eyes are firmly on that. Well, first of all, the Climate Action Plan has set a target of 15% of all electricity demand being met by renewable generators contracted under corporate PPAs by 2030. Given the relatively few corporate PPAs in Ireland so far, this ambition will likely drive demand for these agreements. Globally, corporate PPAs are very popular. 2020 was a record-breaking year for corporate PPA announcements in Europe. There were nearly 4 gigawatts of capacity contracted with PPAs across 12 countries, with Spain and the Nordic regions leading the way. This is a significant increase on 2019, where only 2.5 gigawatts was announced, of which 1.7 gigawatts was solar corporate PPAs. In Ireland, the SEAI estimates the total generation capacity contracted in corporate PPAs which have been announced is about 250 megawatts, whereas about 6 gigawatts of solar PV would be needed to hit the 15% by 2030 target solely from solar. Now, there are many different types of corporate PPAs, over 20 different types, but this does not mean they're overcomplicated or difficult to use. It simply means they are adaptable to fit your purpose. It's argued in Ireland, the most likely type will be a situation where a corporate has a supplier-like company that will enter into a direct electricity supply agreement backed up with a PPA between the supplier-like company and a generator. But we'll have to wait and see how this develops. But whatever type of corporate PPA you are interested in, with government policy supporting corporate PPAs, and with only a finite amount of RES support available, and with an increase in large companies locating in Ireland, and with it being an opportunity to proactively assist decarbonisation by using renewable energy, there are many reasons why corporate PPAs could be an attractive route to market for solar projects in Ireland. Eversheds Sutherland can help parties negotiate the nuances and tricky issues involved in pricing in an evolving regulatory market. We've already been involved in negotiating corporate PPAs in Ireland and look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. I'll now pass over to Phelim to discuss Fit for 55.
Thanks, Jenny. So this summer, the European Commission launched its Fit for 55 package. And Fit for 55 is designed to reduce EU greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030, as compared to 1990 levels. And it aims to do this with an ambitious series of legislative changes and policy initiatives. Fit for 55 proposes to amend 8 pieces of existing legislation and introduces new initiatives in sectors such as transport, climate, energy and buildings, as the EU aims to transition to a carbon neutral economy by 2050. The package is seen as a key initiative from the EU in the drive towards renewable energy, and its policy and legislative changes will have a positive impact on the solar energy industry in Ireland and in the EU. So just to touch on some of the key proposals under the package now, and there are a number of increases in targets that are worth noting. And these include a proposal to amend the current effort sharing regulation by increasing the European, EU-wide target to 40% reduction in emissions by 2030 compared to 2005 levels, an increase in the level of energy consumed from renewables by 40% by 2030, which is of particular relevance to the solar industry. And this is an increase from the current target of 32%. Other notable increases then include an increase in the target to reduce energy consumption by 2030 to 39% and 36% of primary and final energy consumption. This is up from an existing target of 32%. And there's also a 15% increase in the current target under the land use and change and forestry regulation to raise the net greenhouse gas removals in that sector to 310 million tonnes of CO2 equivalent by 2030. And just in terms of other proposals under the package then, so the EU emissions trading scheme is being expanded and strengthened, and this includes a proposal to reduce the number of ETS allowances on a per annum basis, and a new carbon border adjustment mechanism is proposed, which will essentially act as a levy on carbon intensive products imported from countries outside of the European Union. The package also includes a proposal to strengthen renewable power purchase agreements by removing regulatory barriers in member states and also examining the extent to which member states can support PPAs by granting credit guarantees. The package also contains a proposal to issue guarantees of origin for all renewable electricity, regardless of whether the electricity producer was awarded support from government auctions or not. In terms of next steps, the package will now be negotiated between the European Council and the Parliament under the ordinary legislative procedure, and the outcome of the legislative process is eagerly awaited. Thank you all very much for listening. If you have any questions on any of the topics discussed by Jenny or myself, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.